Hello. Thank you for listening us. This is Miguel Collado. I'm the Director of Sales and Private Real Estate. We have a special guest today, my friend Thomas Paton. He is the founder of Coquita Soil Project and Lega Vera. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Miguel. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, sharing a little bit of our journey and a little bit of the projects we have in line.
Thomas has an incredible story that we're gonna listen it to right now. But first, I wanna introduce him a little bit more. I am being involved with Thomas for a couple of years now. He has a very, very incredible project that is very, for me, very special, and we want to talk about this today. And right now, you just want to talk about a little bit you. Tell me a little bit about Thomas. How's your story? You end up in the project that you're now? That's basically very profound in my opinion. Let me know about that.
Okay, I went to college, studied economics and political science. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was always ambitious, and I was always very perfectionist. I was looking for options, and I asked my grandfather at some point, because everybody in my family worked for the family, so I really didn't see another option but working with the family. But when I asked him, like, hey, do you have a job for me? And he says, like, yeah, I'm about to start a pineapple export farm and business. Do you want to join on that? So I'm like, okay, pineapple sounds good, I guess. When you produce something, be it toothbrushes, be it pineapple, as long as I can see an end product, I think I'm happy, because I can see the progress of my work, no? Little did I know that working in a farm is totally different from anything you could imagine. I actually, the reason why I mentioned college was because I landed in Panama after my fourth year of college, April 30th, and I started working in the farm on May 1st, which is Labor Day in Panama. So right. I actually started working on a holiday, and that kind of marks the way farms work.
This was how many years ago?
This was 2003.
2003.
And that's how farms work. Farms work 24/7. There's animals. At that point, I wasn't tasked with animals, but I arrived to the farm one day, that first day, and there was a big truck of pineapple seeds, like, 10,000 pineapple seeds. And my job was to make sure that we got them down of the truck and distributed them according to size. Fast forward a little bit, I took charge of the pineapples. We set up a packaging plant. We exported about 3-4 containers per week for a few years. And let's leave it at that, and I can catch up a little bit later with that initial stage of the farm.
Yeah, but basically that's very important, because in that era of your life, after a couple of years doing that, exporting that, basically you end up in a conclusion that every year, the soil that you produce on was getting more depleted and more depleted, right?
Yes. Not only that, but when I started working at the pineapple farm, every young person makes projections, no? And I was like, by this year, I'm exporting 3 containers per week, then 4, then 5. I even thought we were gonna. If I tell you what I had planned in my head, eventually we'll be able to buy this, and we'll be able to, join that, and we'll grow exponentially. And that really was not the case. With agriculture, is very different. And to conclude what you were saying, that I noticed that every year we had plans, we had expenses, and then next year we had to redo it. And maybe we were a little bit farther behind than what we were the year before. So it was all like, if we fix that section of the farm, then it'll be okay. But after we spent money on fixing it, then it's like, how do we maintain it, and how do we avoid having to do it again 3 or 4 years later? And this became like a trend. The farm is a large farm, and everything required investment every couple of years, but none of these investments led to profit. They were just sort of like maintenance. The farm was subsidized. It was a multi-industry farm. We had pineapple for export. We had a very large pig CAFO. CAFO, for those that are not aware, it's a concentrated animal feeding operation, which means many, many pigs on top of cement and a lot of trucks of corn and soy being delivered to the pigs. We had a large cattle operation, a lot of artificial insemination, a lot of in vitro. We used to buy a bunch of seed. We used to buy a lot of herbicides. Back to the pineapple, I personally was in charge of spraying herbicides so we could kill everything in that paddock because we needed to till it, because we needed to pulverize the soil, because we needed to make perfect, pretty rows of dust, dirt dust, so we could plant these seeds and nothing compete with them. So for a while, it's funny because for a while I basically had to kill the soil. I was not aware of what I was doing back then, but I had to kill the soil. And funny how life works, no? Everything you break, you need to fix it later on. So sooner or later, you're responsible to redoing what you did wrong.
That's right.
So anyway, I basically degraded the farm because that's what I was told to do. That's what all the guides did. That's what I learned in other pineapple farms, and I tried to do it super good. But eventually, I noticed that the land was dying, the ecosystem was dying, and we were not getting the results we wanted.
That's right. And then back in maybe how many years ago, you end up like knowing another way to do it.
Yes, around 2017, after 13 years of being in the farm, I was a bit frustrated. Maybe the first 7-8 years I was excited. I thought we had goals that I could accomplish. Then around the 8th, 9th, 10th year, I started, waking up and noticing that all the plans that we had made were not being materialized. Thinking, what next? Why am I stuck? Why did I choose an industry, or why did I choose a career path? I'm turning 30, 32, 34, and we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere. It's expensive. And, everybody, usually with farmland, people just put up with it until development reaches your doorstep, and then you eventually sell out to housing.
That's my clients and cattle industry always say that they're just maintaining land until development comes, right?
Yes, and I did the math. And it wasn't going to be that much, and it was going to take very, very long to fill the farm with housing. So it immediately did not make economic sense. It was going to be a lot of pain to put up with this development growth. But after 2017, I started understanding that we were doing something wrong. We were doing something wrong to the land. We were doing something wrong to the ecosystem, and that it wasn't going to work. And I don't know, I can talk, since you asked me first, a little bit about myself. I can share that on the side, like, to not go crazy in a career that was not giving me the results that I was looking for or working hard towards, because farms are hard work and there's nothing worse than working hard, going down slope.
Yeah.
But we had a gym. My wife and I opened up a CrossFit gym because she was a school teacher, and she told me that she wanted to be a PE teacher. After maybe 4 or 5 years of being an elementary school teacher, she's like, oh, these kids are medicated. They don't sit still, but people medicate them and their food is terrible. So we ended up crossing paths with the sport of CrossFit and the sport of and the branch of CrossFit Kids. And when she learned about CrossFit Kids and the methodology and etc., she was immediately fell in love with it, and we decided to open up a CrossFit gym. In the CrossFit gym, we started eating paleo, the paleo diet. In particular, there's many diets, but in our case, we started paleo, and it had the hunter-gatherer mindset. So on the weekends, we went to the fish market to get our fish. We went to the big, supermarket chain to get our chicken and our beef. Our vegetables, we went to the fruteria, they're called in Panama. They're like specialty produce shops. So we did our hunt and gathering, and we had fun, hunting and gathering for our food. But I started noticing during that time, my grandfather, which was my boss, started getting disenchanted with the pineapple industry per se. So he's like, "Oh, I've always liked cattle. That's what we had all the life. So why don't we just let's get rid of this pineapple thing while we haven't lost that much or while we're breaking even, let's say, and let's focus on cattle." So he would always say like, "Oh, if only we were in another country that subsidized grain, I could feed my cattle corn and soy." So he was sad that he couldn't achieve this goal of putting animals on a feedlot because he thought that was the perfect way to follow the cattle industry. And at the same time, in the gym, and that's why I mentioned it, in the gym and in the paleo diet, we were being taught that you should try to find grass-fed beef, not feedlot beef.
Exactly.
So I'm sitting at the farm listening to management saying, "Oh, I wish we could take the cows out of grass and put them in cement." And I'm reading books saying, "Make sure you don't buy beef from cement. Make sure it's on grass." So that was like one of the first sparkles of information that actually made me start thinking that everything we were doing wrong. Not because we were foolish, because we were following all the industry advice. Like we really wanted to be a major agricultural player, but it was not working. And when I started noticing that we were doing everything wrong, that's when I finally started liking my job. So 2017, I started reading. I started buying a bunch of books.
You had another purpose, like another.
Now I finally had a purpose.
Like a purpose and a mission.
Well, that happened in CrossFit.
Turning around.
Yes, that happened. That had happened a few years before because my hobby was fitness, bodybuilding, and back in that time, you could only do two things. You could run marathons or you could be a bodybuilder. There was like no in between, and obviously there was no social media. There was all the exposure that a young person has nowadays, where they can with a simple internet search you can find all the different disciplines of fitness. In those times there were two. I chose bodybuilding, not marathon. After that, during bodybuilding, when I finally found CrossFit, and the first time they said like, "Oh, you could work out in 20 minutes," I'm like, "That's crazy. That's impossible." And then I went through the process of learning a little bit of CrossFit, and for a brief moment I was like, "Oh, I was doing it all wrong." It's not all wrong because I still enjoy bodybuilding. I still enjoy the principles. I think it's a great sport and mental discipline. But at that moment, I remember saying, "Oh, I was doing it all wrong. How foolish of me that I was so like unidimensional, no? That I only thought that you could do it this way." And that same thing happened with the farm, which is the fun part, no? I had noticed it in terms of fitness and nutrition, and now I noticed it in my farm and my job. And I was like, okay, if I have been doing everything wrong, then I finally found a purpose.
You were breaking paradigms.
Okay.
All the way, all around.
You said it better.
Yeah.
You said it better. So yeah, we started. I started reading. It's funny because from my grandfather was a little bit sick at that time, and he wasn't going to the farm. Like he fell sick, and I knew he wasn't going to return to the farm as often as before. So I had a choice to make, and I was like, okay, if I continue doing everything the way we have been doing it, when he finally comes back to the farm, I won't be able to show him progress.
Yeah.
If I try the crazy agroecological regenerative way that I've been reading about, at least I have hope. But I know that the other way, the way that I had seen it be done for 13 years, I knew that was not going to work. So I had to choose the least hardest, and we went the agroecological way. I remember people asking me like, "Hey, this year are we going to buy, which seeds are we going to buy?" And I'm like, none. They're like, what herbicide are we going to buy? I'm like, none. They're like, so what are we going to do about this and that? I'm like, well, I saw in the index of the book I'm reading that's on the next chapter. So give me 2-3 days and I have an answer.
I'll let you know.
So it had to happen that way. It had to happen that way because I knew that we had broken the ecosystem. The land was dry. The summers were terrible. It seemed like we were so sunken that it was going to be impossible to turn it around. But I started learning that land heals. Land heals itself.
Like the body.
Exactly, like the body. The planet is a living thing. The soil is a living thing, and that's one of the things I learned. Remember when I said that I had to till the soil to turn it into dust to be able to plant the pineapple? Well, I learned that this same dust or this same dirt is what turns into soil, and it turns into soil because of living things. It turns into soil because of living cells, the mycelium, the fungi. It's the same mineral particles. It's just that one is dry and dusty, and the other one is alive and cushiony and big. Those were terrible adjectives, but
It works.
But we learned that the soil was alive. So when I learned that the soil was alive, I'm like, okay, now I have a purpose. How do I make this soil alive again? I know this is not a podcast about cattle, but the only way to make soil alive is with animal manure. So we just started doing that. How do we get the maximum amount of animal manure in across all the farm so I can fix it? And fast forward a couple of years later, the ecosystem started giving us signals. We saw more birds, we saw owls, we saw insects, butterflies, and I don't know. It started giving us signals that we were doing it the correct way. So we just trusted the signals and kept going.
This is where Coquita Soil Project began.
Correct. We decided to Coquita is the name of the port at the end of our street, and we decided to make it a soil project because that was the way to fix the farm. We had to fix the soil, and we started with the name Coquita Soil Project. It's the same farm. We just changed the methodology, changed the mentality. We try to teach our staff what are new ideals, and we can talk about Coquita.
So this is where Coquita Soil Project began, and now where's the stage that you're at right now in Coquita?
Okay, Coquita Soil Project began as a mindset, and the farm had a farmhouse that was 105 years old, and we had to restore it. Obviously, the cattle business is a commodity business, and a cattle business does not pay for a large wooden 105-year-old restoration, big home next to the swamps. A lot of humidity, but we decided that we had to fix it, and the yards around this house were very dry in the summer with nothing on it, and very wet. Everything was like mushy and soaky. So we started adding food. We started adding food for ourselves. We started adding all the tubers and all the plants that you could grow in the tropics. We started adding plants to feed animals. And, all of a sudden we started getting a little bit of our own harvest, and all of a sudden it was a little bit too much, and it was perhaps too much to give away and too little to make it a business. So what we decided, because of our nearness to the city, to Panama City, we're about an hour away, about 45 minutes from the Tocumen International Airport, we decided that we were going to open up a restaurant that cooked only what we harvested at the farm. It was a way. Well, I said that I studied economics, so I love finding inefficiencies and taking advantage of everything. So that's what we did. We opened up a restaurant. We got a chef. We started doing agritourism tours, sharing our ideas with the people. We added sheep because we were sick of listening to the noise of the weed whackers. While we were maybe having a snack. There were a lot of mosquitoes, like I said, because it was a swampy area. So we added ducks to reduce the amount of mosquitoes. Then we added chickens because we learned that they were the best parasite control tool So we added chickens behind the horses, and all these animals are in motion. So we made a multi-species rotational grazing farm, and that is what we show at our agritourism tours and our little hostel. We refurbished the house, and we have about 6-7 bedrooms, and we accept visitors, and we have lunches, and we have tours, and we're kind of spreading the story or helping people know their farmer and helping people get to the source of their own food.
How's been this path through knowing people that perhaps know a little bit about what you do or none, and come to your place and it's like amazed what you're doing, or what is the response of the public?
Yes, the beginning was the best because we got what you know as the early adopters. But the early adopters were people who had already known a little bit about this theme. They knew this way of nutrition. They couldn't find it in Panama. There aren't the.
Is there not any other place in Panama and the whole country that do what you do with the whole thing, like the restaurant, the farming, the whole thing?
No, perhaps not all the ingredients. We do know other organic or regenerative farmers. We do know people who do agritourism. We were fortunate to have a large farm near the city that we could basically try to do it all. So you were one of those early adopters, and you came with you were searching for something that you hadn't found. I don't know if at that point we couldn't even at that point we didn't sell beef to go and stuff like that, but we started finding people that started telling us like, this is exactly what I need. If I could have this daily in my life, if I could have access to nature, if I could have my children breathe fresh air, if I could eat clean, if I could, eat without mystery ingredients every day, me, my wife, and my children would feel better. That's what we started listening across the board. And that inspired us even more. We knew that we had something in our hands that we could at least share because there were people that needed this outlet, because we couldn't find somebody else doing this kind of message or talking these things.
What is the stage or where is the world, or let's say America, in the sense of the awareness of this kind of stuff?
It's growing. More and more people are thinking about the quality of their food. More and more people are giving value to knowing your farmer. When you buy any kind of consumer good, if you're going to buy a television, if you're going to buy a cell phone, if you're going to buy a car, you want to know the brand. By knowing the brand, you want to know who you have to trust. Who are you spending your money in? Because you trust that company for supplying quality product. When it comes to food, we go for taste and convenience. We go for fried. We go for sauces, and we don't ask ourselves, what are the ingredients of that sauce? Do the ingredients, are they made the traditional way, like when they were created by grandmothers, or are we cutting a bunch of corners just so that can be convenient, inexpensive, and accessible? Mm-hmm. And that's basically the trend when it comes to food. It's been so comfortable to just eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, whatever, wherever, including from vending machines, that humans have now, it's like we have given that responsibility to a third party. That's not our problem anymore. We know that if we're hungry, we can find food. And we learned, because of the CrossFit path, because of nutrition, we had already learned how we felt when we ate clean food and when we ate food that perhaps wasn't as much food as it was before.
So Coquita became like a living classroom for you guys in the path and for people that visit you. And now you're in a stage that you really, really want to do this in the long term and maybe perhaps live on the farm. And
Yes.
This is, I think, when Lega Vera became like a project.
Yes, yes. We lived at the farm for.
What is Lega Vera? Lega Vera.
Lega Vera is a true legacy. The real legacy. We lived at the farm for a while, right before the pandemic. We were having fun. It was super. We felt great. Our kids were growing up strong and healthy. We were eating farm to table. We were eating everything we were producing. We were eating ourselves. Like our diet was, 95% what we produced, and we felt great. We felt a little lonely because industrial agriculture has done, not good things for towns. Town people have started coming to the big cities to try to find, supposedly better opportunities, and the essence of community in farming towns has been degrading and degrading and degrading. So we were lacking that social aspect. We would have loved to be able to share every day of the week with the people that were coming on the weekends to visit and to learn about our tours. So we were very close to the city, but we were still a little bit lonely. And after the pandemic, when people became even more aware of clean food, the pandemic was a revolution in a way for people who wanted to care about their health, for people who wanted to think holistically, who wanted to have more intention in their health and in their eating and in their living. So right after the pandemic, we decided that we did want to return to the farm life, but we wanted to find a way to do it with many other people. And that's how Lega Vera was born. We wanted neighbors. We're looking for neighbors who find value in farm life. Personally, my family, we know the pros and cons of the city. We know there's many comforts and safety and guarantees that you have in a metropolitan setting. But we also know the well-being benefits, the nutritional benefits, the fresh air benefits, the family values and the sharing and the type of conversations that happen in a rural setting. And we decided just like we were the closest ones to become a classroom through our agritourism, we also noticed that we had something very, very positive in our hands if we wanted to share this farming lifestyle with other people.
So I think we're passing through Coquita as a project of your life, of your family, then sharing with others, being a classroom for others, for yourself. And now you wanted to establish or develop this Lega Vera project for developing a community of people like-minded from here and other countries. In Panama, I think it's an opportunity for yourself, of course, for a project, and we are going to sell those lots, but also an opportunity for Chepo and an opportunity for Panama because it's nothing that been done before.
Yes. In contrast to other eco villages or agri-hoods, which is what they're called, they're usually smaller lots where you live adjacent to a farm. So a farm would give up maybe 15% of their land and make a little bit of housing so people can live near this rural setting. That's mostly what agri-hoods consist of. Eco villages have a lot of the spiritual and the intentional aspect to it, but you don't really have that much land yourself. In Lega Vera, what we're doing is that we are handing you land so you can be a farmer. That is the main idea here, is to give you the opportunity. Perhaps you weren't born a farmer, but you have always liked the rural setting. You have always liked animals. You think it would be a great hobby, a great way to age gracefully, and we really have not found anything on the internet anywhere around the world.
Really?
Including India, which is very forward in terms of agri-hoods. We have not found another project that is selling or allocating plots as large as ours. We are selling 21-acre lots because some people, perhaps because of their age, the stage of their life, or their other responsibilities, don't want that much land. But the average plot of land in Lega Vera is 5 hectares, which is the equivalent of 12 acres. There's a few that are larger, but the idea is to really, really, really allow you the possibility to finally become a farmer. Become a farmer in a controlled community setting where you are not on your own. Because, if you would like to become a farmer today and you go off and you purchase, 50 hectares yourself, but you're on your own, you don't know the neighbors, perhaps the land is not properly titled, and it's going to take you a few years to learn the judicial system, and who knows how long or how easy it's going to be. And when you finally get your farm, the learning curve is incredible. The amount of money you're going to spend it's incredible. So we have put together our paths, our experiences, and try to make it as easy as possible for somebody who might not want to farm 24/7. It's probably not going to be your first income, but you would really prefer to continue life including farming into your family.
Yeah, for example, for me, it's a dream. It's a dream of mine. I don't want to do it necessarily because I want to have my income to be a farmer.
Yeah.
I just want to grow my own food.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
That's one thing. And the other thing, belong to a community of people like-minded that are in the same mindset, doing their own thing. And that's what I love about this project, is that it has one thing is being in a community, and the other thing is that Coquita, as a established farm, will help you with that.
Yes, we're setting up a concierge services, and the idea of this is if the easiest example is this: if you have a small, let's say 8-acre farm, and you don't own a chainsaw because you haven't needed it, and maybe you don't want to buy it today, but a tree falls in your driveway and you can't drive out, you call the administration or you call concierge services, and they'll tell you, remember that the chainsaw is $40 an hour, $30 an hour, and somebody will come and chop it up and get it out of your way. If you want to put up a fence, you don't want to buy a bobcat because that's several tens of thousands of dollars, but concierge services will have one and will very easily and economically put in that fence you need. If you want to harvest mangoes or pigeon pea or avocado, and it's only once a year that you have this harvest, and you need 3-4 people, but you don't want to keep them on the payroll, we will refer to you or send you reliable people that know what they're doing. So you said exactly what we're doing. We are allowing you the opportunity to grow your own food, but at the same time, you're not on your own. It doesn't mean that Lega Vera will plant and guarantee for you your crop, but we are constructing a community and a setting where you have a few vegetables. Your neighbor probably likes fermenting. The other neighbor has sheep. The other neighbor loves making cheese. The other neighbor likes to age meat, etc., etc., etc. So this is the idea. You're not on your own. You can your friends, your neighbors help you in that learning curve constantly and daily, and
also I think what we just said before is that also Lega Vera and the people that live here, we're going to live here, is going to be integrated with the people that comes just to visit one day. And tell me about this part, that this little town that is going to have.
Well, we're going to make a little town in the front of the village. The village is a gated community. So when you actually go back to the farms, you will have to pass a security. We will have security 24/7 because we are doing an HOA. We are making sure that, the value, we're keeping a bit of the luxuries of the city. We're blending a few of the luxuries of the city with the benefits of country living. We will have a village in the front. We will have a equestrian club. horse stables where, we will have a market where all the production from the farms come down to it. We will have a co-op where somebody will organize what is being harvested in all those 50 farms and try to either distribute it within the farms or try to find chefs or specialty produce markets that might want the products. We're going to have a community garden. We're going to have a tree nursery to sell to the people there or to the outside. So we really want to blend this, metropolitan living with country living. There was an important part that I was going to mention before. Coquita Soil Project, which is the current farm that we manage, will help, because when you come here for real food, if you buy a plot because you want real food right now. Like, you are already so interested in this type of food that you're not going to trade off, we're going to move there, but I'll only eat healthy when I start producing myself. Coquita Soil Project, which is the agritourism and the farm that we run, will make sure that all the tenants, all the new owners are provided for. So the entry point is going to be helped.
You're going to have all the benefits right from the start.
You're going to have the benefits from the start.
From the beginning, you purchase your lot, you're going to have the access to the real food.
You're going to have priority on the real food. You're going to have access to the real food, and plus the neighbors will sell to you. You'll buy from them. There's also an important aspect that you mentioned. You said that it's your dream to produce your own food. But it's not necessarily going to be your first or only income. So I believe that this is going to be the norm, but at the same time, with 5 hectares, 12 acres, you could make a living if you choose to. You could make a pastured poultry operation. You can sell ducks. You can have sheep. You can sell a goat milk. 5 hectares is a responsibility. That's why this is not like a normal eco village where we say like, oh, don't worry, we'll send you food. You don't have to worry about that. The farm will take care of that portion for you. No, like personally, I cannot run your farm. I have a large farm to run. What we are doing is making sure that you have everything available. If you want to run it as a hobby, you have everything you need. And if you want to run it as a business, you also have everything you need.
Amazing. Well, I think we have a lot of information, and probably we will need another podcast to fill up all the information. But I really appreciate it, basically, that you come here and spend a little bit of information and time getting to know everybody about this project. I think it's very important for people to know that real food is not available anywhere or everywhere. It's rare. And I don't know if everybody's so conscious about it. I know myself, I am very conscious about it. And I'm really glad to know you and your wife, Adriana. And I think this project is amazing. We're going to be promoting these lots. And I want to use just final words to close up the podcast, please.
Well, real food is the real luxury of nowadays. There's, we live in a world where anything you want, you can get. With a snap or a touch of the keyboard, you get what you want, except real clean food. So you would be doing your future generations a large favor if you invest in land and in access to clean food. This is true legacy. We believe that this is true legacy, and hope some of you listening end up as neighbors in Lega Vera. We're gonna market this, but we're not gonna market it too much because we're choosing our neighbors.
Choosing your neighbors. Well, this is the Lega Vera, guys. Thank you, Thomas, for coming. Thank you for listening. If you want to know more information about Lega Vera, please contact us. Let us know what you wanna know, and please follow us. See you next time.
Thank you.